you said you trust like them and their judgment because they know science, but really they just got their numbers from a government agency. Do you trust government?
I mean, why not? Government's never proved me wrong. So the guy you were talking to, he's with the other guy, and the other guy was like, "This dude is vaccinated. He wants everyone to get vaccinated. He's just trying to argue you."
Yeah,
And we were laughing.
they're very COVIDist.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you? Well, let me ask you guys. What do you? So, if you don't mind, from the conversation that you just saw, when you see two guys like that who are very much in favor of vaccines and masks and very very much saying science. Like, what do you call that? What does that look like to you?
So, I'll give it to you personally. Honestly, my fiance is a doctor, so whatever she says, I trust because I'm an engineer.
Okay.
So I know math. I do not know vaccines. I don't know science. I don't know a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff I don't know. So I trust the doctors in science.
Well, we're gonna come back to that. Come back to your wife, but your response.
Well, I was gonna say, so like I agree with the mask and vaccine stuff, all that crap. But I also don't, like, the way he was yelling at you, I don't think it's the right way to do stuff like that, right? Okay. Because it's like, what are you, like, him yelling at you when you disagree with them, what is that really going to change? Like, it's not going to change your mind, right? And so it's like, he was very, confrontational towards it, and, like, why do that, right?
We'll come back to how you would do it differently. But to your wife, what does your wife say?
So she's a doctor, and she knows science. I do not know science. And she tells me that the vaccine is safe for humans, and it is good to prevent passing the COVID virus to other people. So I got the vaccine, obviously, because I trust. My sister's a doctor, my fiance is a doctor, and I'm not a doctor. So I don't trust myself. I would trust science.
So well, when your wife got the data or got the information by which she came to the conclusion to tell you that the vaccine is safe and effective, where did she get that? Was she involved in this herself? Was she like in on the studies? Is she a?
I mean, she's not worked for the CDC or anything, but
the FDA or one of the pharmaceutical companies.
So she,
what kind of doctor, if I'm asking?
She's an eye doctor. She's an optometrist. But my sister-in-law, her sister is a nurse, RN for a hospital.
But neither one of them were like directly involved in the science to determine that it was safe and effective. So where did they get that data?
From the CDC. So CDC.org, I think, is the website. And
so you said you trust like them and their judgment because they know science, but really they just got their numbers from a government agency. Do you trust government?
I mean, why not? Government's never proved me wrong.
You trust government?
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah.
Have you guys studied history?
Yeah.
So government never lies.
They do lie.
Obviously, they lie.
They do lie.
So government like never approves of unsafe drugs that have to be recalled and lead to multi-million-dollar settlements. Like they always get it right with drugs, right?
It's not a research that
they have.
There's no such thing as thalidomide, right? That just doesn't exist.
I don't know if they have, but I'm assuming since you're asking the question that they have, and so it is what it is.
Right. So like in the Tuskegee experiments, like that never happened. Like they never lied to. Oh, that happened.
Right. Yeah, it did happen. Right. I do, right? Because that was the one in the '60s when they were like experimenting on people.
It was black men with syphilis, and they said we're going to treat you, and then they didn't treat them, so they could study how syphilis they gave them placebos, and they said, but they lied to them and said we're treating you when really it was we're going to let you get as sick as possible so we can study you.
Yes.
So
what's your question?
Why do you trust these people?
So
You don't trust the government,
the CDC?
Absolutely not.
You don't?
Well, or the FDA, or government in general.
To be honest with you, I trust them because I make the choice to do it, right? And so you don't trust them, and that's your choice not to trust them as well. And so, we differ here, but like, again, your choice is to not get the vaccine or do whatever you want. It's still your choice, right?
No, I definitely respect that part of your position, certainly. But I am concerned, the way that a lot of people, like, the guys that you saw here who were very much because you guys seem very reasonable about this, right? Like you're cool, you're level-headed, you're able to laugh at it, you're able to hear new ideas. As you heard from the people we were talking to before, not everybody's capable of having even that much of a conversation about it, right? So I think of this as COVIDism. This everything that the story, the mainstream government story of COVID. Here's a new virus. It's uniquely deadly. What was the first policy? How many weeks to flatten the curve? Do you remember?
From Trump. From Trump.
From
President Trump.
Yeah, from President Trump. What was it?
Something by Labor Day last year.
I think it was by Easter, right?
2 weeks. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Remember, they couldn't convince us that the virus was even dangerous enough to really shut down indefinitely, or the virus. But just 2 weeks, it might overwhelm hospitals. So we had just to keep hospitals from being overwhelmed. And now here we are, a year and a half later.
Not listen to science. You understand that, right?
That was Fauci's policy.
Trump literally fucking said, like, he did not listen to science. He was trying to say, like, it'll all be gone by Easter.
That's not what I'm talking about. No, I'm talking about Fauci's policy for 2 weeks to flatten the curve that Trump got behind.
I'm not saying anything like that either.
To be fair, right, science evolves, right, and it changes, right? And so Fauci coming out and saying it, as he should as a scientist or like any kind of like professional, right? If new information comes out, you listen to it and you evolve from it, right? And so that's what he did. And so obviously the information at the very beginning, when we didn't know what was going on as much, right, changed as time goes, time goes along as well.
It seems around Fauci there's more new information though about why we shouldn't trust him.
So Fauci, he explained to everyone the information that he had at the time, right? As any scientist, I'm an engineer, so that's what I would do. And as time goes on, you learn more data, you get more data, you learn more people get sick with COVID, and you get more data on everything. And then you make a new assumption, right? So as an engineer, we make educated guesses all the time.
Yeah, but this to me this sounds like, I mean, there was another big war that just ended, right? You follow current events, you see how bad the Afghanistan withdrawal went, right? But what did they tell us at the beginning? For Iraq, I was in Iraq. Weapons of mass destruction.
Sucks you in Iraq, by the way.
Right.
Yeah, that sucks.
Right.
I mean, I don't.
I look at that and I say, it sucks. People in the healthcare industry are getting sucked into a war on COVID.
Can I ask you a question? So where do you lean on all of this? So like, because Bush brought us into the Iraq, right? And so now though it's like Biden pulled us out / Trump's with the Taliban deal and everything, right? So it's like, do you find yourself to go blue or red? And like, or do you find yourself in the middle? Like what?
Oh, I reject any form of coercive government that includes the whole duopoly. I'm a libertarian, and that means I believe in freedom. I believe in self-ownership. I believe that's awesome. So if this is ethics applied to politics fundamentally, that because you own yourself, this is the foundation of ethics. It's wrong for me to violate your self-ownership, to use force, fraud, or aggression against you, to deprive you of life, liberty, or property. And government, as we know it today, is fundamentally based on coercion, right? Now, like you said, it's a choice about trusting government and with the vaccine, but we're on the verge, and in a lot of ways, that choice is being taken away if nurses are being fired because they don't get the vaccine, if you can't get a government job, if you can't stay in the military, if you can't work for a certain government agency.
My sister got fired from being a nurse because she didn't get vaccinated. Yeah.
But you got vaccinated.
Absolutely.
And you said it was because you trust
my fiance, not my sister-in-law.
So you trust the one you're marrying, not okay.
Hey, happy wife, happy life.
Make sure he gets it right on camera.
Happy wife, happy life.
Okay, so the reason though I'm concerned about this, and if you guys value this perspective, the raising of a new specter of fear of COVID, the way that terrorism was raised to justify 20 years of global war on terror, war crimes. And I say I'm a war criminal because of not just what I did specifically, but as an accessory to a war crime in general being over there. And the same way that we got sucked into that, we're being sucked in. And if you go like, well, who do you trust? And if you go, well, yes, the process evolves, and it's a great illusion of science. But so was weapons of mass destruction, a great illusion of intelligence gathering. And when you say more science comes out or more things come out, you look at these sources, you look at Fauci, you look at and I don't really care about the lab leak theory. I don't really care in a sense if you get the vaccine or don't, as long as you're not trying to force it on anybody else. But I care because I don't want you to be taken advantage of. I don't want you to be responding out of fear. I don't want you to mistake your wife's authority that you believe in and you trust because you love her and you respect her and you know that she wants what's right for you with her misplaced trust in government and the CDC because they've been wrong before. And right now, I mean, what's the effect of this? The rich are getting a lot richer at the expense of everybody else. I mean, you guys are lucky you're here in Vegas, you're having a good time, but most people are struggling, right?
I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you.
I don't disagree. All I'm saying is like my wife is a doctor and she does her research, and whatever research she does, I trust her.
Yeah.
She tells me to get a vaccine, that's fine. If she tells me to get the booster, I will. If she tells me not to get the booster, I won't. Because I'm not a doctor.
This is why I'm trying to marry a banker.
I'm not a scientist. So like, if you're trying to like make me tell you like why yes or why not, I have no idea.
All right.
But I trust my wife. She's a smart person. She's in the medical field, and whatever she tells me, I do, because happy wife, happy life.
All right.
So.
Last question.
I want to say, like, when it comes to like our government, like with the fear mongering and stuff as well, I think that if it was just our government, it's a whole world that's really involved in this, right? And so that's, I think, the reason why I feel more comfortable with all this stuff is because it's like not just us doing it. It's like the entire world trying to resolve this and trying to find like a solution to something that seems like it, to some people's opinion, is a problem, or some people's opinion is not a problem, right? It's
Because
like
governments have never worked together to screw over people.
Well, you're comparing that
Right.
from, like,
well, they have.
No, but I get your point. There's a certain comfort in this being like it's different than the war racket. It's different than we're going to invade Iraq and Afghanistan. It's hey, there's this global thing, but the hysteria, the hyper response. You can see how governments would have an interest in working together because they're all profiting to some degree.
Yes, and I do understand that, but you're right. I think it is definitely more comforting for me that it's like the multi-role thing rather than just the United States, because like the war in Iraq was the U.S. and there was a
Coalition of the willing.
yeah, like so, and I understand that, and so
You're a Marine?
yeah, so it is what it is. So I get your point. I get why we should have a stereo towards it, right? And so, but I also understand that people like myself that don't, I get that as well, right? And so
Since we started this on the run, we're going to end it. Last question with the first question backwards. What's your name, where are you from, and why are you here today?
Robert Pelkey, Austin, Texas, and for a bachelor party.
Adam Taholis, Houston, Texas, here for his friend's bachelor party.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Hey, no, that was a lot of fun.
Question, though?
Sure, yeah,
So,
please.
why did you join the Marines? So, because did you have like the government hysteria before?
I was dumb. I was ignorant. There's no excuse. And I made a video.
Is it that bad?
Well,
I got a lot of friends in Marines, so
it's not that it's
none of them
a
complain.
bad experience necessarily, and certainly now it's. I mean, back in my day it was hardcore. Now it's all fucking soft and shit. But
Everyone out in the Marines are happy about it.
it's not that. Yeah, I mean, it's a good job. Like, it's a fun experience. It's a good challenge, but you are part of a criminal organization first and foremost. Fundamentally, no matter how good it is for you, you are profiting from the suffering of other people all over the world throughout the history of the American military, and that's undeniable. You are also killing a part of your autonomy in your mind by serving in a command and control authoritarian structure that kills individuality and creativity. And I think there's a certain intangible sacrifice that you make from that. You also give up your bodily autonomy. There's a day in boot camp and this was maybe back for me like in 2000, where you roll up your sleeves and you take a step through a gauntlet. You get a needle in each shoulder, and then you take another step, and you get two more, and another step, and you pull your pants down at the end, you get one in the ass, and then everybody in the platoon is sick for like 48 hours. But when I was in Fallujah, like I actually did things I very much regret, like personally, that not just because the war was wrong and I was supporting the war effort that like killed innocent people, but like I did specific things, and there's no
taking that back, right? You're forced to do it. That sucks.
I mean, I can respect someone who goes, I just want to say I made it through boot camp and, fuck the government, so I'm going to take the resources and I'm going to go through and then I'm going to, like, smoke pot and bail out. I'd be like, yeah, cool, like, get the training, have fun, have a 3-month crazy, dangerous, weird fucking vacation. If that's what boot camp is to you, like, I wouldn't argue with that. But, no, like, actually going and participating, it's a criminal organization that's funded by theft.
Okay,
You would know, we wouldn't.
Yeah, so my dad's
that's another bullshit like element of authority.
You want to
is
debate
like
who knows?
appeal to logic
I don't know.
you should be on all important matters of ethics and politics, appealing to reason and logic, not personal experience or even expertise. I mean, that's what gets us in trouble. The experts say. Well, hey, if you have enough money, you can buy the experts.
So my dad was in the Navy, So I was wondering, yeah. So he said that it was like he loved it because the bond with the people you meet. But it's like I haven't asked about how he feels about like what you just kind of described almost, right?
Yeah,
So
and they get away with what they get away with because they keep most humans, most Americans at least, who support it by paying taxes and working and sending their kids to the military, by getting them to deny that fundamental nature of it until it's staring them in the face. Yeah. Until you went to Iraq and you had to see some shit and you know I have to process that to challenge everything else that I know. But anybody can do that. Like anybody with an open heart and an open conscience can say, like, listen to me tell stories about seeing kids with birth defects in Fallujah from white phosphorus and depleted uranium shit, and go, you know what? That doesn't fit with my understanding of government. And I guarantee that guys like you, if you took one of those threads and you pulled it, the whole sweater would unravel of this false belief in authority and government and respect for these institutions entirely. So I would invite you to accept that challenge at some point. Not here, have a good time. But like you see shit on the news all the time, right? That doesn't quite fit with your worldview. Like stop and do the research. Don't let them just go, okay, on to the next thing, because that's how we just keep getting screwed.
We will meet that challenge with courage and love, and as always, we the people will prevail.